We're continuing on Mesechet Avodah Zarah, and we are by the Mishnah on top of Samech Aleph Amud Aleph. Today's Amud is being learned. Lizchut Rufa Shelma Avrachel Simcha Bad Nahid. Shall have a full recovery. Bezat Hashem and Moshe ben Miriam also should have Rufa Shelma. Amen. So we started the Mishnah on top of the Amud, and we're going to go through it quickly again, since the intricacies of the Gemara very much is related to the language of the Mishnah. If a Yid is trying to produce kosher wine and keeps it also, so the wine belongs to a goy, there's a partnership between the Jew and the goy, he just wants to have kosher wine production to be able to sell it to the Jews, so therefore the Yid is the only one that's dealing with it, but it's kept also in the storage house, in the house of the Oved Kochavim. So financially it belongs to the Goy, and it's also kept by the Goy's premises, says the Mishnah. If it's Bayit Patuach L'Reshut Harabim, Be'ir Shesh Ba Ovdei Kochavim Yisraeli Mutar. If it's in an open house, a house that's open to Reshut Harabim, it's open to the public domain, and the Gemara is going to qualify exactly what doesn't mean open to Reshut Harabim. But imagine if you have you're keeping it in a shed in the front lawn of the house, so of course that's like mamash open to the Reshut Harabim. Now, what it speaks about if you have a window of a Jew open to it, if you have a place that public traffic passes through that, in front of the storage, and so on. Says the Gemara, in a city that Jews live together with Ovdei Kochavim, that would be mutar, because A, you have Jewish traffic, B, the Jewish traffic could actually control it because it's open to the public eye where the wine is being stored. So if you have those two criterias, says the Mishnah, mutar. Why? Because the Goy knows that the Jew is going to hear about it. If he makes any mistake, he's afraid in that moment, as he's opening the storage to go in and take some wine or tamper with the wine, some Jew is going to be passing by, seeing the Goy, and it'll be on social media 5 minutes later. Back then, social media was in a mikveh, and people talked. This guy Chavra, and before long, the Jew is going to know, and then he's going to lose his investment. So of course, he doesn't want to take any chances with that, and he's not going to do it, and hence the wine would be mutar, even though the wine was alone with the Goy. It's in his house. No, it's in the wine is made by the Jew, it belongs to the Goy, and it's kept in the Goy's house. But what keeps the Goy from tampering with the wine is that he doesn't want to lose the investment, and he doesn't want anyone to see him go there, and he's afraid that a Jew is going to see him because the place is exposed to the Reshut Harabim, and there are Jews living in town together with the Goyim. So that's an automated system of hashgacha, right? Now, says the Mishnah,
We're speaking of door open, door not open doesn't make a difference.
We're going to go get to that. That again gets part of the intricacy of the complexity of this sugya, and hence you have all this long Tosafot. It's a machloket Rashi and Tosafot, how the structure of the Mishnah is, and the Ran and the Rabad. It's fairly complex if you want to get in there, whether or not we're talking about the case that you have the key, or the Goy has the key. If you have seals, chotam, on the barrels of wine that you have over there, or you don't, or you have both, you have seal and you have the key, or you don't have any, that becomes a little more complex, which is, again, the topic that the Gemara is going to speak about, but how to take those details into the every case of the Mishnah becomes a little bit of question. So says the Gemara, says the Mishnah, rather, if Be'ir Shkulah Ovdei Kochavim, if you have a city and that all of them are Ovdei Kochavim, so they're not a lot of Jews. This Jew chose the wrong goy to partner with. It's in a neighborhood that no Jew really passes through the neighborhood. No one lives there. Then it's Asur. Ad sheyeshevu meshamir, until he sits, the Jew sits and actually watches it, or according to the Girsa of the Bach over here, Yoshiv Shomer, until you hire someone, you put somebody there to watch it, right? And it says the Mishnah, it doesn't have to be a 24/7 job, as long as the goy knows, the goy knows that he goes out, but he comes in. He could be coming in at any given time, I don't know. Therefore, that creates a mirtat, a fear, a built-in fear for the goy, that the goy would not want to make a mistake, because he knows that even though that there is no Jew living here, but there's a Jew that's paid to come and check on me, and therefore it will be. Now this, of course, becomes a question of mashgiach tmidi versus mashgiach that's called yotzeh v'nichnas. This very language of the Mishnah is a mashgiach that's yotzeh v'nichnas. For in the kashrut industry nowadays, you have certain things that they require mashgiach temidi, and certain things that they require a mashgiach that's yotzeh v'nichnas. Things that are less kashrut sensitive, so to speak, will be yotzeh v'nichnas, and things that are very kosher sensitive, like meat and stuff like that, will be a requirement of mashgiach temidi. Now we'll have to discuss if mashgiach temidi is found anywhere in the literature of the Gemara or not, because the Ayin Nesech is of course pretty sensitive and easily could be ruined, and yet the Mishnah seems to say a mashgiach av yotzeh v'nichnas would suffice, right? So we have to discuss that when we talk about our halachic endeavors of this sugya be'ezrat Hashem. But nevertheless, we do what we do for now, and the Mishnah says further, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Omer, Reshut Ovdei Kochavim Achati, that the Reshut of Goyim is all considered one. Now the Gemara at the very end of next Amud is going to discuss what exactly is this comment of Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. Is it a question form? Is it a regular sentence? Because it means the Reshut of Goyim is all considered one. What does that exactly mean? The Gemara is going to discuss. So it says the Mishnah further, if you are, again, partnering with the goy to produce kosher wine, and you also are keeping it in the reshut of the goy, and the goy writes a shtar for the Jew, and writes to him, says the $10,000 worth of this wine I already got paid from you, even though that he didn't get paid a penny, but he writes him a receipt on the debt of the money of his investment in the wine, then mutar, then it's mutar. Why? Because now that the goy does not own, so to speak, the wine anymore, the debt was forgiven in this way. Officially he wrote a receipt for the Jew as if the Jew does not owe him a penny, so then it would be not anymore the Yenoshel of the Kochavim, right? But here is the catch. If when the Jew wants to take this out of the storage of the goy to go sell it or whatnot, the goy says, no, you haven't really paid. I mean, I wrote for you a shtar, but come on, we know. And he's keeping that as collateral for his debt. Then, says the Mishnah, then he's really, that does not mean anything. The shtar that he wrote, he is holding his lien over the head of the Jew. He feels the ownership over the wine, and therefore we are extremely concerned that he would not be afraid of touching the wine, because he would say, well, it's my wine. It's my wine. It's correct that I wrote you a receipt, but at the end of the day, I have a lien on this wine, and he may be comfortable touching it, so therefore we do not want to risk it, and the wine would be asur. So says the Mishnah, This was a story that actually happened in the city of Bet Shan, and they said it's asur. Fine. Atkan divrei Mishnah. This is the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Be'ir shekullah ovdei kochavim nami ve'ha'ikar rochlin. Even in a city that they're all goyim, in a neighborhood that they're all goyim and no Jew lives there to pass by and see what's happening with the goy and to be creating a sense of mirtat, a notion of a built-in fear for the goy to do the wrong thing. Says the Gemara, you always have rochlin, you always have peddlers that are going around. The Gemara in Baba Kama writes that one of the 10 takanot of Ezra was that one of the 10 takanot of Ezra was that there should be rochlin mitzuyin mikol ir va'ir. There should be Jewish peddlers going around selling different things that the women need, and so on and so forth. So there are always peddlers, even though the Tosafot asks this question. He says, wait a second, where do you have Jewish peddlers if there's no Jewish residents? Why would they go there? So Tosafot says, because they are passing through the neighborhoods. In this neighborhood there's no Jew, but next town or next neighborhood there's a Jew, so peddler goes through, and the peddler's job back in the day was to know everyone. They were yentas. They had to know everyone. Oh, this Jew has some investment of wine with this goy. They knew everything. And therefore, or the Jew would ask them, whenever you pass by, take a look, peek inside, see what's happening with my wine. So the goy is afraid because there's constant traffic of peddlers, says the Gemara. And why would it be asur? It's a question the Gemara is asking. Yeah, we have peddlers every day. They're passing by and they are questioning. They know everything about everyone, right? Because they speak to people. That's why a person that speaks gossip and transfers the information from one to another, it's called rechilut. Like a rochel, like a peddler that goes from this person, picks up something, sells it to the other one, takes from this one, gives to the other one. They have information about everyone and everything. Anything that happens, they were like the newscast of the town. So says the Gemara, what happens with the peddlers? You have the peddlers, says the Gemara. No. We're talking about Amar Shmuel, Be'ir sheyesh lo delatayim barich. We're talking about a controlled neighborhood, or upper class, that has locks and doors and gates, and in there are specific hours that they let the rochlin in. They can't be just coming anytime. There are times of operation, and in those times that he knows for sure there's no rochlin coming in, that's when he could touch it. Then there's no oversight during those hours, and therefore there are hours that he's not afraid, and it will become asur. Amar Rabbi Yosef. V'chalon kirshut harabim dami. A window is like a reshut harabim. Why? Because if you have a window of a Jew in front of the house of the goy, you have eyes, ayin roeh ve'ozen shomad v'kol ma'asecha b'sefer nichtavim. Everyone is afraid because someone is watching from the window. Actually, in the halachot of Yichud, the Gemara in Kiddushin Daf Pei Aleph, the Gemara says that if you have a petach hapatuach l'reshut harabim, that if you have an open door to reshut harabim, it saves the scenario from being a scenario of Yichud. In other words, you cannot be secluded with a woman in a place that is secluded. But if that place is open to mamash reshut harabim, then it's not a scenario of Yichud, it would be mutar. Right? Now, nowadays, of course, in the United States, that's very questionable. Because even if the door is ajar, and this is Machloket Rabbeinu Yonah and Rashba, Petach Patuach means, is it ajar or is it unlocked? But even if the door is ajar, in the United States, what happens when someone comes to your door? They knock, and if you don't answer, what happens? They leave, hopefully, right? And that's what happens. So therefore, the whole Petach Patuach Reshut Harabim, halachically speaking, nowadays in America, is very, very questionable, right? In Eretz Yisrael, or we lived in Yeshiva Lane, where the whole apartment was a Reshut Harabim. You could be sitting by dinner, I would tell you, all of a sudden, without knocking, 20 Yeshiva Lane kids would just ram into the house, go get one of the kids and ram out. Every minute could be, that's mamash, there's no yichud over there. But in regular city, now the Poskim discuss, how about if you have a case that you have a window? Rav Moshe Feinstein in Chelek Daled of Avodah Zarah discusses this in Siman Samach Daled, where you have a window open to Reshut Harabim, right? And you're sitting there with this girl on a date, and people could see from the Reshut Harabim where you're sitting inside, even though that the door is locked, right? That could be also considered a petach hapatuach Reshut Harabim, because again, that natural feeling that people could be watching is what saves this scenario. And same thing over here, says the Gemara, when you have an open window to Reshut Harabim, that would save the day, and the goy would be afraid of touching and doing anything, because he knows that the Jew has a window, and people have a window to his house. They could see it. So
does it have to be open? Because
we're talking about the open window.
Back then they had glass like on their if it was a window, it was automatically open. Nowadays, you're in a car, the window's see-through, you're driving, you're...
Obviously, without getting into too many details, we're talking about a case that people could see, right? Either they didn't have any glass, or they had glass, but it was see-through, right? It seems from many parts of Chazal's literature that their windows were not necessarily very clear, There are glass. The glass is not necessarily very clear, but again, if there is a scenario in which you could clearly see what's happening over there, in the Chatzer, that would be mutar. Again, if it's a window of a Jew, then it's up to himself. He could peek in and see what's happening in my next door neighbor's yard where the wine is being stored, and that would be mutar. So it says, I think Gemara. Also, if you have a pile of garbage, the dump basically, if the area of the garbage dump is in front of the chaser of the goy where he keeps the wine, also is mutar. Why? Because everyone comes to put their garbage there, and that's considered like a public traffic area. Because every person at every given time in the day could be coming there to put his ashba. And once he comes there on top of the ashpa, which is a little high also, you go up there and you see the chaser of the goy. So, oh, wait a second, what is he doing with Reuben's wine over here? Right? And the goy knows that could happen at any given moment of the day, and hence that creates a deterrence, and he's not going to violate any boundaries, and we could be sure that he didn't touch the wine of the Yid. Meiri writes, the ashpa was also used for people urinating, going to bathroom. They didn't have public bathrooms in a day, and a person is on the way walking through the streets, and he needs to use the bathroom. What do? He goes to the ashpa. So aside from dumping their garbage, people would be coming there every 5 minutes. Another person would be. This is like, where the real estate probably was a lower price there, but if they could see inside the chaser of the goy, then of course it will be something to deter the goy from touching the wine of the yid. Also, so says the Gemara, another case is a dekel. If you have a palm tree belonging to a Jew, and the Jew could be going up the palm tree at any given moment to pick some dates, then it also will be mutar, because there's a reason for a Jew to go up there, and see inside the chaser of the goy, and that would be also considered a deterrence. So says the Gemara, how about if it was psik reshe? That means not a psik reshe that in Chol Shabbat, but literally psik reshe. That means the head of the top of the palm tree is cut off. There is no fruits. There's nothing. There's no reason for him to go up there, right? You don't climb up there to get fresh air. So then what? It belongs to a Jew, this tree, but it's really missing the top part of the palm, so there's no fruits there to go up to get them. So would that be mutar or asur? Pligibah, Rab Acha veRavina. Machloket Rab Acha and Ravina. Chad asar v'chad shari. One of them said is asur, one of them says mutar. So what's this svara? Man de asar, the one that says it's asur, that means if you have this palm tree, headless palm tree in front of the chaser of the goy, the wine of the Jew with the goy is asur, because this palm tree is as if it's not there. It doesn't have any fruits, doesn't have any reason for the Jew to climb up. So he says, Lama the salikatam. This is asur because no Jew is going to go up there. Why would he go up there? There's no fruits there. It's missing the top. And therefore, that's not considered any deterrence for the goy, and the wine of the Jew that's stored in the chaser of the goy, hence would be asur. That's not considered a mashgiach yotze v'nichnas, right? Because you don't have sufficient reason to go up your dekel, even though that it belongs to you. You have no reason to go up the uman. The shari, the chidush is the one that says it's still mutar, holds zimna the avdale be'ema v'salik le'ayun batra. It says this is still considered the town's lighthouse, right? Because if you lose your behema, you don't know where it is. You need a high place towering over the village to go up and see where my animal is, right? And how do you do it? You climb up the dekel with your binoculars in there. You go check to see what's happening, and once you're checking for your animals, you peek inside the goy's house as well to see what's happening, right? So therefore, it's still mutar. 2 dots, 4 lines up. Tan Rabbanan. If you take or rent a room in the yard, in the chaser of the goy, umilau yayin, and you put all your wine over there, v'Yisrael dar be'ota chaser, and you have a Jew, Israel himself is living in that chaser. So now you have a Jewish-owned wine. It's my wine that I am renting a storage house inside the chaser of the goy, and I want to store my wine, inside your chaser, and you're a goy. Is that mutar or asur? Right? So says the Gemara, if you have a Yisrael dar be'oto chaser, if a Jew is mamash living in that courtyard, in that chaser, then it's mutar because you have mashgiach temidis, so to speak. You always have eyes on the wine, and that would be mutar. Now says the Gemara, even if the Jew does not hold the key to the storage, and the wine does not have seal on it. In other words, they would make the barrels of the wine, they would smear it with wax or tar or just mud around, and they would put their seal, a special seal that had writing on it and whatnot, in between on this smeared material, between the top and the barrel itself, the lid and the barrel itself. And if you would be opening it, you would break the seal, and you couldn't necessarily easily copy this. Sometimes you can forge it. If it's kedai for you and you have all the time in the world, you could do it. So the Gemara says, if you have a constant presence of a Jew in that courtyard, you don't even need the key to be the key holder or have all the barrels sealed. Even if you don't have the key and the barrels are open, meaning they have the lid but no seal, mutar, because you have kind of like a mashgiach temidi over here. The goy is petrified because you could be watching and entering at any point. But if the Jew lives bechaser acheret, if the Jew lives in the next door chaser, then it's mutar. Then it's mutar only under circumstances that the Jew is holding the key or the wines are all sealed. That's only if you have where, over here simply put means that here you have either you have the mafteach, the key, or you're holding the wines in a situation that they all have a seal, and that would be mutar in that case. Now the Gemara is going to discuss some more cases of this, which Be'ezrat Hashem we will be discussing and finishing the perek tomorrow morning in Mitzvah Hashem.